The patient must be treated with reference to Urdu. Maksud Hasni translated from Urdu to English. Prof. Niamat Ali Murtazai Free Abu Zarbar Ki Kutabkhana February 2019. The theory of contraries is not a new one. Discussions have been made on it for centuries. The Creator has created pair of everything. Night with day, darkness with light, life with death not only keep each other in motion but also help us recognize them. If grief is not attached with relief, or hunger with satisfaction, life shall become tasteless. If old age were not attached with youth, youth would lose its charm and value. In other words, the existence of contradictory elements highlights the importance of each thing. Now, how it can be accepted that the contradiction of something is not present? Some or the other way or source is always present. It is another matter whether we have approach to it or not, or that is yet to be discovered. Cholera, TB, and malaria were considered remedialist diseases in the past, but it is not so in the present age. If these diseases are diagnosed and treated in time, health is certain. A long time ago, I wrote a paper. Man can be kept alive. That was in fact the depiction of the same philosophy. It is not doubt a confirmed fact that death is must and every being is to taste it. In no heavenly/holy book it is written that a person would die at this time or his life has this limit. Doctors try to save a person's life even when he is breathing his last. If theory of keeping man alive had not created, all the door of man's efforts would have closed, and the people would have waited only for his death if he had fallen ill. There is no shortage of homeopathic institution in this country. A lot of people qualify from these institutions. In spite of all this, they prove unsuccessful homeopaths. There are two basic reasons for it. One, the institutions earn more than serve to the homeopaths consider their education the source of their income. Therefore they failed. They more attention of the patient's pocket than his recovery. Their greedy has snatched the vigor of research. A cancer patient comes to them. They have already decided that the cancer patient must die and nothing can be done in this regard. They can earn some money from him till his life. In other words, money is dearer to them than his life. It is the tragedy not only of the undeveloped nations/countries. Civilized world and developed countries are also involved in it. Why they have done nothing against AIDS and cancer. There is a very deep secret being it. Nobody has, perhaps, thought about it. If the medical researchers ponder over it seriously, remedies for the remedialist diseases can be searched out certainly. Every person looks similar with respect to his organs and structure. Only difference of height and features is noticed. On the contrary, no person, with respect to his organs and structure, is similar to others. Every person is different from others with respect to temperament, habits, likes and dislikes, and his stature. The work of his organs is also quite different from those of other human beings. Blood groups are not to the same. Even when blood groups are the same, blood of a person cannot be transferred to other persons without matching test. The composition of the same blood groups also differs from person to person. If we study habits, behavior, mood, etc., an obvious difference can be seen. The fact cannot be denied that the genes of forefathers are transferred to their issue. But after transfer, their conditions are entirely changed. And it is according to the law of nature. The contraries thriving in human bodies don't remain the same. The process of combination does not remain the same. As the organs of every man are different from those of the other human beings with respect to structure, form, action, and reaction, every person should be viewed with his own reference. Similarly, every region has its own separate identity. To view a region with respect to any other region would be a great blunder. Every region has its own seasons, and these seasons have their own mood and behaviors to effects in soil, water, and air quite different from those of the other regions. 3 elements in space separate from those of other hands. 4 elements in solar energy. 5 economics and social needs. 6 fruit, flowers, and plants. 7 animals different in behavior from those of the other regions. 8 natural herbs with particular quality. 9 way of living and the way of taking meal or mess. 10 specific meals. 11 taste of meals separate from the meals of other regions. 12 crops. In other words, there are many things and matters of the land that are different from those of the other regions. A person is attached with the conditions and other factors of the region. His habits, moods, digestion, hunger, taste, etc., are linked with his native region. He becomes habitual of it. Each and everything of his native land is deep-rooted in his body, mind, and soul. The most delicious and nutrition/health-giving things of other regions are tasteless for him. In the case of migration, he adjusts himself with much difficulty or forces himself to lead an unhappy but unavoidable life. Even he comes back in his country after a half-century, he feels pleasure and solace in it and feels himself healthy and strong. Not only this, he also feels freedom in his mind, though here he finds atrocities, diseases, and worries. In backward regions, pollution reaches its extreme levels. He finds more freedom in his new land, while he feels suffocation in his own region. In spite of all this, prefers his native land to any other land and feels pleasure in living there. Therefore, the treatment of a patient should be 1. According to his physical condition. 2. In accordance with that his region. 3. With the help of the things of that region. 4. According to his likes and dislikes. 5. With the help of the things he has been using. 6. In accordance with the changing circumstances. 7. According to the psychology man that he feels accretion for the forbidden things and non-availability of the forbidden things will create distemper leading to blood pressure tension. Else 8. According to the distinction of every patient, there is no doubt that the responsibility of the physical increases, and he must make it certain in his mind that he is a responsible person. Only he is to do everything. It is not a positive thought that the patient should be referred to advanced countries with the excuse that the technique is not developed here in backward countries. When the physician will think that he is responsible and he is to treat the patient available herbs and other resources of the region, the remedy will be certain. In this way the treatment of resorting to other lands will come to enter careless, non-serious for human life, and to make it conditional with behaviors is extremely dirty and condemnable. It is compulsory for a physician to gather maximum data about the patient, his conditions, habits and manners, psychological complexes, family history, and his disease/problem. He should collect information from the attendant as well as patient's relatives. The nearer he goes to the patient, the more he would understand the patient. He must not think the patient the sources of his income. He is the savior, and his task is to redeem others from physical difficulties. A little carelessness on the physician's behalf can put a patient to death, and this is the dishonor of the savior. Science has no doubt produced facilities for man. Science has also provided sources to save time. But the scientific instruments a patient can't be understood. In order to know a patient, a physician has to work like a research officer. It is also a fact that some inventions of science also cause damage to human body. The tests of urine, blood, mucus are really useful, but X-ray, ultrasounds, and other like these supreme inventions are harmful to man. All the organs of a patient become weak, and these instruments harm to him directly. The irony is that the damage may not be noticed readily, but disorder is certainly created somewhere or other. That damages a patient unconsciously. A lot of patients and their relatives are also seen who, without any physician's advice, run the ultrasound. The ultrasound operators get their fee and give them the ultrasound report. I don't want to say that the use of these resources should not be used, or they are meaningless or need is denied. The point is that these resources should be used only when the physician makes his utmost effort to locate the disease or problem of the patient. Secondly, all the things about a patient can't be known at once. At least 3 reports of the patient's conditions should be collected, and these things must be written in his file in detail. If the patient is referred to some other place, his file should also be transferred. If the patient is not satisfied with his physician and he wants to resort to the same other physician, the physician should not get angry. It is his right and also need with respect to his physiological satisfaction and encouragement. In this case, the physician should provide the photocopy without delay so that the other physician may adopt some other way with reference to the earlier results. If the file is not provided, the second physician will have to start his work anew. Thus, a lot of time will be wasted. Resources will also be used the second time. A new proceeding and research will surely add to his problem. The malady may develop from one stage to the other. Complexities will increase, or the situation may bring about his death. A physician must have sympathy with his patient. A person's life is more important. Fortune is all his hands. If a physician's intention is good, he can create other sources for him. The last point is in this regard is that without knowing anything, the treatment would be absolutely unjust, meaningless or harmful. For the destruction of bacteria, a physician uses medicines of high potency even when the case is not obvious. In the same way, the start uses of such medicines has become addiction for the patient. My actual focus is cancer. The physicians assert that the reality should be disclosed to the patient. Physicians have this thought because they are not suffering from cancer. As soon as a patient listens to the name of this fatal disease, half of his life is wasted away. Even an educated patient is also shocked to the marrow of his bones. He loses trust and charm in life, and he considers himself helpless and unfortunate. Furthermore, some RBCs are destroyed by cancer and more than them spoiled by worries, anxiety, sorrow, and uncertainty. His immunity system becomes weaker and weaker. Whether the doctor accepts it or not, the real thing is the same, and the common experience is according to it. For the treatment of a disease, the immunity system requires to be strong because it leads to the recovery of the patient. Secondly, constancy and regularity must be developed in the patient, otherwise it would be to push him into death's mouth. Cancer surgery is common these days, and it is thought the easiest solution to this problem. The crab is called cancer. The malady spreads its legs to a far extent. Even if a part of its cell remains out of the operated upon part, the disease develops anew. And it can't be said that no cell of cancer exists out of the operated upon part, and it is also impossible. Surgery is not the permanent solution to this problem, nor does any prominent advantage come out of it. I have seen hundreds of such patients as was quite well before surgery, but after surgery they passed away soon. Now I offer my explanation with reference to the treatment of cancer. 1. The treatment must not be performed in the wake of any foreign example. 2. The patient must be treated with reference to his own body, condition, and regional circumstances. 3. The physician must be sympathetic, resolute, and serious, and there is the same need of creating willpower in the patient, for the physician must be expert in physiology, or a psychiatrist can be hired for this purpose. 5. The policy for the treatment of a patient must be prepared separately. The use of the experiment of some other patient is not proper or suitable. Each patient must be considered a new challenge. Old experiment may be awareness. 6. Water plays a key role in the recovery of a patient. As government collects huge taxes, it is its duty to provide pure water for drinking. In the old times, somewhere even nowadays, the wound was dressed with water and it healed. Similarly, water was collected from 7 houses and drunk. Why it was so is another discussion. But it certainly was useful. The effect part must be washed without soap, twice or thrice a day. 7. Fresh air, charming atmosphere, and freedom from financial worry and social problems must be provided to the patient with the report that all is well. 8. The people of developing/backward countries are habitual of toil and hard work. The patient must be got busy in some task/work, so that his attention might be divided and he must feel his pain less. 9. In the capital countries, mixing is part and parcel of trade. It must be checked and the patient must be provided with pure diet and pure medicines. 10. The patient must be with 22 ounces of food per day in any case. A schedule must be prepared and these contents must be involved in the food. A. The core of the seeds, i.e., cucumber, melon, watermelon, etc. B. Carrot, radish, leaf of radish, ginger, garlic, mint, etc. C. The vegetables must not be peeled. D. Simple food that is also soon digestible that he has been using in his past life must be continued. 11. The patient must enjoy full sleep. 12. The vital organs must be given exercise. 13. The slaughtered animal's flesh must not be cut into pieces until its whole blood does not spill away. 14. The use of biochemic medicine Califos 6xTDS is very beneficial to remove the exertion of mind. 15. To sit underneath tree for an hour is very advantageous. 16. The strategy must be on the top of the list that such medicine must be given to the patient as may grapple with the disease and the disease shall depart from the patient's body. In other words, it proves a strong disease foe. The disease in this regard biochemic medicine calc flower 6x can TDS be presented as an example. 17. Anything that has been the part of patient's diet and increases his appetite must be included in his food. 18. The patient's immunity system must be strengthened. First, vegetables and such other things must be involved. 19. The Almighty has not created any such thing as is worthless. The things that are considered worthless may have the remedy to the disease. For example, A. Leaves of tree, flowers, roots, etc. B. The worms of a region. C. The wastage of birds. D. The mucus of pet or non-pet animals. E. The foam of mouth of animals. F. Water of hook. Hobble bobble. 20. The cancer of women's chest is very common. Its reasons may be overproduction of children, load of work, the shortage of food, nonconformity, domestic disputes, psychological complexes, worries, avoid feeding to the kids, etc. 21. When a female has an overflow of sexual passions which may be caused ultras or ovaries cancer at this stage, the concept of Islam about foremarriages can't be denied. 22. Cleanliness checks the way of the development of the disease. 23. Ignorance also develops disease. 24. The use of anti-pain medicines that do not conform to the disease must not be used. In this regard, the spray of the medicines in the accord with the disease and the patient is useful. Written in 13 years ago.